portion of the agenda is for public participation and information. No student or personnel names are to be mentioned in the discussion. Some questions from our visitors may require research, thus no answer may be available at this moment. In this case, the board will usually take the question under advisement. Is there any public participation?
I just have a question. So I called the office here and asked about being put on my nephew's Bright Arrow, it's like for them to call me if he's absent, because I'm the one that has to get him to and from school. And when my sister came in to put me on it at the conference they had last week, they said that I couldn't be put on it because I'm already on his emergency contact list, so I can just call every day to see if he's here.
We can have that conversation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, more appropriate to have that
That's
outside of
yeah.
here.
I just didn't know. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we can have that conversation.
Okay.
We'll get it all worked out, no worries.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure. We'll do go into details, but
Yep.
not here at a public meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Gotcha.
Any other public participation? Okay. Educational highlights, Damien?
Alright. Well, fall sports, fall extracurriculars, all that's winding down. So our marching band, they went to the MSBOA Marching Band Festival. They earned a first division rating. They're pretty excited about that. They're going to Three Rivers on Friday. They're going to do the glow show there. I think they do that at their halftime, if I recall.
No, there's no
Just that. Okay. All right. And then on 10/29, they have a band concert here for Halloween. Let's see here. Football, that's wrapping up. They play their crossover game on Friday, and then they will, Halloween, will be playing a playoff game, probably on the road, but we won't know until the selection show, and it depends on how things turn out this week. Volleyball, they just beat the #1 team in the conference. They're gearing up for.
Say that again. What was that?
He rushed through that.
Say it louder.
They beat the #1 team in the conference.
That's right, we did.
So, but yeah, they're gearing up. They have a little run here. We can make the playoffs. Cross country, they hosted the other day here. We got a lot of compliments on our field, the painting job that was done. And so they had a lot of PRs there. The middle school teams won, the boys team won. And talking to them today, they both feel like both teams at the high school level could go state for the first time, which would be really exciting. Let's see here. Quiz Bowl, they started off in Holland. They're getting ready. They have Jonesville and Hicksville coming up. Flats Olympia is gearing up, ready to go, or getting ready to go. And I think that is the majority of our fall extracurriculars. And then winter's going to be next. As for some of the more school stuff, NHS, we had their induction the other day. It was really cool. We're up to 40 members now. We had 20 that were inducted last year, and they inducted the 20 that are coming in this year. The kids were great. The speeches were good. They actually were doing a lot better than I usually do in public speaking. So we're really giving a huge compliment there. We got new office furniture. It looks really good. We're excited about that. SSR room, we kind of started that this year. Unfortunately, we haven't had to use a lot yet. That is both a good sign and one that we hope to continue. It's like our high school suspensions, but it's more student support. That's where we work with our restorative practices, that's going pretty well. Right now, we're having a son come in and do it on the days that we have it or need it and spend that part, which is really good. Then this Saturday we have our fundraiser for youth and government. They're going to do haunted hallways. That sounds good. No, not saying youth and government. It's youth and government. Sorry. Haunted hallways, and that's going to be from 2:30 to 5, along with trunk or treat, which will be happening outside, which will be from 2 to 3:30. I just texted Katie before this meeting, and they are taking candy donations for the candy drive still, which will help supply some of the cars out there for trunk or treat. And then she said that they're just gearing up for the holidays, and they're going to have a music concert December 11th. They're excited about it. So that's the educational house.
Fantastic.
What day was band concert again?
29th.
So I'm glad you asked that, Nicole, because if you look at the new email that you guys received, something new that I did print it out for you, but this is in an email to the board, and I can't take full credit for this. I did steal this or borrow it from maybe my sister's ISD that does this. I thought, that's really cool. Can you give me a copy of that? So I thought it would be a neat way to, please do not think that this is an all-inclusive list. And if something changes, I'm not getting on here and changing it. Like, so don't go to this for your update. This is just so you can have an idea of what's coming up. It will not include athletics because that is easy enough to get on Brooks. Brooke takes care of that. And in the winter and spring, those things change faster than we change our clothes, you know, because of weather. So, but if you see on here, there's different things like the things that they just mentioned in the FFI, you know, drives are on here. Quiz bowl we will put on there because that's not, or those are not things that we have on our athletics page. Different CPO events that are on here. The winter concert is on here. Different times we have breaks. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see like if board attendance, like sometimes this is just information for you. And then obviously at the board meeting, it's requested that you're here. But everything else will be voluntary, so you can absolutely show up to some of these other things if you are interested in them. Sometimes they'll have, if you see it in blue, it will be a link that you can get to like a picture of more information. Like the Glow show, we have like it was on our Facebook page, so I linked that in there so you could be able to get there.
Where is Hicksville?
I don't know where Hicksville is.
Ohio.
Ohio, yeah.
A very long ways away.
And there's lots of league meets, and I think they'll get on there. My goal is to give you one of these once a month, you know, so we do have calendars on our website and different things too. So this is just kind of something as a board member to put it all in one place, but not all inclusive, but at the same time, you know. Okay? Yeah, we'll see how it works, so. If it doesn't work, we'll change it up.
Do we have any federal or state highlights?
Not yet, no.
Okay, we have no additions or deletions.
Nope.
Okay, summer 2026 construction project, Tower Kingster OAK.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So, we've got a agenda here. I guess I'll start out introducing myself. I see a few familiar faces. I'm Sean Parshall with Tower Pinkster. I've been serving as project manager for the project. Worked with the district back in the pre-bond phase. I'll let Aaron.
I'm Aaron Kaiser. I'm a PM with Owen Ames Kimball, so I'll be working with David Innes on the project. So.
All right, so tonight, what we want to walk you through, do a quick little refresh of the pre-bond phase and just kind of hit some of the highlights of the things that really have served as the roadmap for us moving forward into the projects. And then we've been busy over the past few months really getting the drawings put together and ready for the projects that will happen next summer. So we wanted to share with you some of the details of those projects. We'll wrap up with a little bit of discussion on where the estimates that OAK has put together are showing projects to potentially be prior to going out to bid, and talk a little bit about how that relates to budgeted funds that are available to accomplish these projects, and then we'll move into some of the next steps regarding bidding, and then when you guys will start to see some upcoming information when it comes to award of the contracts for the bidding exercises. So, any questions before we dive in, or any other thoughts? Okay. All right, so going back to the pre-bond phase, this was a chart that we had shared, I think, at an update with the board, but also this is a chart that we had prepared when we were working with the steering committee that had been assembled that was made up of representatives from the community. So when we started out on the journey, we were looking at some of the different collections that would come through the sinking fund, and then we were also looking at kind of blending that or combining that with potential funding from the bond. So as you kind of look across the board there, it was kind of expected that there might be about $7 million worth of funds, over the course of those funding sources. We know that the first couple of collections that were brought in for the sinking fund, they were utilized for the roof for this building, and then that's really where we got into the planning phase for how might we use the remaining collection of the sinking funds along with the bond that you guys passed back in November. That middle column there that shows the 2024, 2025, and 26 collections, at that time we were estimating somewhere around $1 million annually in that collection. That was a little bit conservative, but being a little bit conservative was a good strategy just so that we knew, over time, escalations that happen, market changes that happen. So there was a little bit of a conservative approach in that number, but the bigger differential is you've been able to collect more money on an annual basis because of the growth in the property value. So that's been another contributing factor to hopefully being a little bit further ahead than we thought we might be with some of the potential funding. So that's a bit of good news. So this was the list of all of the projects that we had set out to include either in the bond or the sinking fund. So the items that are crossed out are the projects that we did this summer. So over at Central Elementary, the corridor ceiling and lighting project that happened over there and wrapped up late this summer. The items that are highlighted in yellow are the things that we're going to talk a little bit more about tonight. Those are the items that are in the scope for the 2026 projects. And then things that aren't highlighted and haven't been stricken through, those were remaining line items that are still to be accomplished here in the future. All right. Oh boy, it's really faded. So I'm going to try to narrate a little bit. We'll walk through first off Central Elementary. The item that's highlighted there, just the.
I think so, that might help.
Oh, perfect.
That
That
might
does help a little bit. Yep.
There we go.
All right. So you're seeing this is the building floor plan or the overview of the building. One of the projects that's going to be accomplished with the current scope of work is improving just safety and security on the site. So exterior lighting, including a lot of new light poles that you see these kind of arc lines. Those are just identifying feeders that will go from light pole to light pole and really get a lot of light out on that south side of the building.
That's the front of Central, just so everybody can see. We're adding more poles out front.
It'll really brighten that area up. And then we've also got some additional lighting that's happening on the north side to help improve lighting near that entry on the back side of the building. So moving on to work within the building. So what you're seeing up here is the floor plan kind of split in half. So that long footprint of the building you just saw, this top piece right here is the west half of the building. And then right along this line, that's where this bottom piece, which is the east half of the building, would tie into that. But just in the way of getting it on our sheets and getting it so that you can see it a little bit on one slide, that's kind of the way that we arranged it. So all of the classrooms, we're really focusing on the classrooms as part of this scope of work there. So it'll include painting of the classrooms, new classroom flooring, and then classrooms that have restrooms within them will get upgrades. We'll be doing new finishes, new fixtures in those spaces, new doors into those restroom spaces. The areas that are highlighted in gray, those are what we've identified as bid alternates. So as we got into the discussions, we really felt that it would be nice to get pricing when we put this out to bid so that you have that information in front of you to consider accomplishing some additional things beyond what we originally set out to do just in the bond proposal. Those areas would be the media center ceiling, getting new ceiling and lighting in that space, the office and staff areas that are near the main entry. So in this floor plan would be, you're seeing my cursor, I don't know if you can see it up there or not.
Yeah,
Okay.
right there. Yep.
Thank you. So those two areas, that's another alternate. The multi-purpose room or the cafeteria, which is that big box down in the lower plan, and then in that lower plan also to the far right, there's an office area that we're looking at additional ceiling and lighting in those spaces as well. So this really will get the building to a point where lighting and ceilings have been replaced throughout, if those alternates are accepted.
And if you went to school here, the bathrooms that are in the classroom still look that way. So we are upgrading those classroom restrooms. So that'll be nice to see.
So that's just the overall floor plan, kind of highlighting some of that work. The next slide is showing a lot of that same information, but this is what we call a reflected ceiling plan. So anything that you see that has kind of that gridded hatch and then some darker squares. Those darker squares are the new lighting, and then the hatched area, that's representing the ceiling grid. So it'll be new 2x2 ceiling grid, suspended ceiling grid in those classrooms with new LED lighting. Again, those gray areas will be alternates that will receive separate pricing for, so you can evaluate those on bid day relative to the base bid scope of work that we're putting out. But overall, I think, the transformation in that building is going to really be nice when you walk into the learning environments and see some fresh finishes, fresh lighting, the ability to control the lighting. That's going to be one of the things that you'll have is dimmability of the lighting, but they'll also be controlled by sensors, so energy efficiency is certainly going to be improved through dialing those back, along with just the sheer fact that they're LED fixtures that are going to be more efficient anyway. So
I was gonna say, do you have an estimate of how much electricity savings?
I could work with our electrical team. I think they could probably calculate that pretty quickly. We've been seeing in a lot of cases, depending on what type of lighting is installed in a building, that transition to LED pays for itself in 3 to 5 years.
You've answered my question.
Okay. All right.
And just for being in the school, the dimmability in a classroom, they'll hardly ever be full on. They will have those dimmed down too, so, they're gonna love that. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, you can certainly elevate or change, reduce the mood however
For sure.
you need to, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting. So the image that you see on the board now is just what we call a digital finish board. So our interior design team has been here and presented a variety of options for consideration. That middle area, so this right here, is just an example of one of the walls in the student restrooms that are in those classrooms. And what you're seeing is a base tile, which will be kind of this speckled look. That'll also be the floor tile. And then above that line, the whiter tile that's running vertical, those are the tiles over to the far left. It's probably hard to see. I can see it on my screen probably a lot better, but just below that, Nicole, they're not outlined very, very dark. But then in the middle of that field of that tile, there's a little accent band playing off some school color and giving some a little bit of school spirit to those restrooms. To the right are the 2 carpet samples that have been selected. So the classroom flooring is the one that you see in the upper right corner, has kind of a mottled look to it that'll help hide stains over time. But this type of product actually is kind of a nice hybrid between hard surface and carpet. It's called Kinetics. It's something that we've used in a lot of schools. The cleanability of it is great. So it's kind of a nice blend of giving you that cleanability, but also still having something that's a little bit soft underfoot.
Can I speak to this real quick?
Absolutely.
So it was really important for all of us that were involved in this part to continue the design element from what we had done in the main lobby over there years ago, in the bathroom and the restrooms there, and just kind of keep the same look. So you will see the vertical tiles and then the mosaic. And as far as this type of carpet at Kinetic, it was Katie, Thomas, and Cody and I met Tower Pictures team in Vicksburg, correct?
Correct.
And went over there to look at other things, but then, and they had it in their media center to really get a feel for what that carpet was. Not carpet, but we call it carpet tile, but it's not. It's different. And then we still weren't sold, so we asked them to bring us pieces of it so we could feel it and really look at it. And I think it's going to be really something beneficial that is really kind of brand new-ish. People are starting to go with that, and I'm really excited about it. So we put a lot of work into the design element. Talked to a lot of people, and boy, they gave us a lot of options. And if we didn't like it, we said, nope, sorry. This is maybe the 8th color of carpet that we ended up on. And we were sold on something, and then they bring it back, and they bring something, yep, nope, that's the new one. And so they got it. They understood that we weren't in love until we were. So
So is it one piece or is it tile?
They're tiles.
They're tiles, yeah.
Yep.
So if you did have damage to one, pulling one up and putting a new one down, is certainly something that is still possible through that product. But the cleanability of it, it's a textile composite fabric, I think is what they call it. It's like you said, Shelley, it's not the same as carpet, but it still has some of the qualities, as you touch it and feel it,
Yep.
it's similar.
And it was really important for us to have Cody involved in that process of picking it out. Katie and I were there for a little bit of that, but really to see what it felt like and what it would be for kids to sit on it and walk on it and then picking out the color. And he was there for the durability and the cleanability. What does it look like to have his custodians clean it? What is it for the longevity? So I think we came up with, I think we made the right decision. I'm excited for it.
The bottom right image is entryway carpet tile, so you might be saying, wait a minute, carpet and entryway. This is specifically designed for entryways. It really helps scrub a lot of the crud off of feet as people come in, and it's, again, a real easy carpet to clean, really durable. Again, definitely not something new in that case. It's something that we've used all over the place with a lot of success. So that's the selected tile for a lot of the entryways, also here at this building that we'll be using. So I'll show you a couple of areas that the intent is to install more of that to help with just getting the stuff off of people's feet as they come into the building, especially in those winter months. It'll help eliminate the need for putting loose laid rugs down and roll out mats, those types of things. All right, so moving over here to the middle school, high school, I've kind of highlighted the three areas when we're talking about safety security. So coming back to those couple of things, way back in pre-bond, we talked about just the desire to have that secure vestibule. So when people come into the building, right now they're checking in at the window, but then once they're granted access, they could go anywhere if they really wanted to. What we're doing is where that window is currently at in the vestibule, everybody will have to, there'll be a new door installed there that will direct everybody into the main office, so they'll have to check in with the high school staff. So that'll be a really nice thing to be able to contain, evaluate, if there's somebody that just doesn't quite feel right, you've got that opportunity to contain. So there'll be door controls that will be installed as part of that too, to give some different levels of control for the administrative staff here. The other two circles, the two smaller circles, again, it might be hard to see. We're looking at, at the end of this hall and at the end of the back hall here, installing a new set of doors at each of those. So when you have an event in the gymnasium, those doors can be closed and really eliminate anybody being able to come into the rest of the building. So if somebody is in this side of the building and there's an event going on, they still have the ability to exit out safely if there happen to be something, an emergency happening on this side of the building. But from a monitoring and control standpoint, they'll keep those events kind of contained to that area of the school.
Very similar set doors that they have at Central going into their hallway. We loved those gates that just stretched it, but this I think is gonna look a little bit nicer to have. So that is what we're envisioning down here, something similar to that over there. And, it just provides security. It can at many times in different ways. And so, and just prevent the flow of people just coming down for no reason, so.
David, you haven't chased anybody down.
No gates, I was kidding. We just love those gates, but
Yeah.
we're gonna do something
We do
different.
sometimes meet them at the door.
All right.
Yeah,
So in addition to the vestibule and those doors, the four areas that are highlighted in blue, those are all new locations that I just showed that walk-off carpet for the elementary. We're gonna also install a significant amount of walk-off carpet at the entry points and also at the main intersection between the middle school hall and this east-west, kind of the back hall. So there'll be 4 new locations that will have that. Again, 3 of them will be primarily at entry points where people are coming and going a lot.
Will that eliminate the need for having this carpets, the pieces of carpet that lay, the mats that lay on the entranceways?
It would, yep. So not having to roll those up and send them out for cleaning and watch them slip and slide sometimes like they do.
And how we kind of got to these is, you can picture our floor, the green terrazzo pieces that we have. It's such great material, right? And we don't wanna just pull up terrazzo, like that is not, because it's great flooring. But the design of that green and mauve that is down, how could we remove those and replace? And so then we started talking about a more affordable way, which is this walk-off carpet pieces that can go on top of that flooring. And so, and we saw pictures of this being done in different schools, and thinking at Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety was what big one, something.
The logo.
Yeah, the logo one, and it's really neat, and Cody loved the idea too. And so, did we need it in the middle there? We have green and mauve tile. So yes, we did, because we can't have it just sitting there by itself. So we're going to cover that up there too. So we don't need walk-off carpet there, but we needed something to cover that tile up. So to be truthful, we're super excited it's gonna make things look brand new. The flooring almost look brand new, and it's not. Was a fantastic idea. It was kind of a late ad, and at first I was like, there's no way. And then I saw it and I thought, oh my, yeah, this is gonna be neat. And it's gonna do exactly what we want by still protecting the floor and really utilizing the funds appropriately, really.
Yeah.
So I was excited about it.
So the final highlight here is really kind of completing the mission of what was set out to be done, a few years back. So that is anything, again, I know it's small, but anything that you see with the shading, those are all the corridor areas that are gonna get new ceiling and lighting in them. So, the exposed ceiling and all the ductwork that you see out here right now, that will all be hidden. So it'll clean up the aesthetic, that along with the flooring improvements, are gonna really take the building and bring it back to life. So, we also, I guess maybe just to point out, in the event lobby or the athletic lobby over here by the gym, there'll be new lighting in that space as well. So that area also is slated for new lighting. I mentioned future projects, so the classrooms still are on the docket down the road. Will be a future project, so that'll really get the rest of the building caught up with what we're doing with the corridor this next summer. So the plan in the future is to do new ceiling and lighting in the classroom, similar to what we're doing in Central this next summer. I guess then the final piece is looking at paving out at the athletic site. So we have two areas. The first is that southwest corner of the stadium. There currently is the asphalt area just to the west of the concessions and restroom building, just north of the softball field there. We are looking at expanding that area a little bit to the north from where the paving is at right now. Probably hard to see. Over here on the, kind of in the middle, there's a shaded area that is just adding on, there you go, Shelley's got it. So we're adding additional pavement to that current paved area. And what that'll allow is for 2 buses to park in that new area. So when visiting teams come, they have a spot to pull their buses into, or the band festival, whatever it is that's going on. And then around the southwest radius of the track, kind of following that line, it's going to be striped for barrier-free parking. So there will be new barrier-free parking spaces over there to make ADA accessibility more convenient from having to come from the main parking lot and walk all the way, or travel all the way up the concrete walkway that leads you to that southeast corner of the stadium. So that's one part of the work. The other part is out at the baseball softball complex. And our intent there is, we know we have that concrete walkway that leads you out there, but anything that's the gravel area right now, that will all get replaced with new pavement. So we'll make that entire area hard surface, much more easy if you're in a wheelchair or other mobility issues trying to traverse that gravel area.
Or just
to get to all
pulling
the
those wagons that
Right.
everybody has, and It's gonna be, we really tossed around a lot of things. Initially, we thought we would just extend the sidewalk both ways, but you still have to get off. And, you know, another thing that kind of just evolved is, I said, if we're gonna do this, let's price it to do it, and then we'll see. And I think it's gonna work out. So we don't want it to be half done, right? To still have issues. And so, it will just be, I don't know if anybody remembers when we paved by the concession stand in the football field, how different that felt out there and clean, and people, it was accessible. That's what this is gonna do for this area. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. Am I allowed to do that?
Sure. Yeah.
Is in the middle of the baseball fields, is
So
there,
like right here?
right, is
Okay.
there, I know when we originally did that, we talked about getting a concession stand out there.
Yeah.
Is there plumbing set up out there, Cody, you know? There's nothing there?
There is nothing. We have talked about that a number of times, Barb, about the cost of plumbing and how to do all of that. So it's definitely on the board, the cost of getting a true concession stand done out there. Certainly, things are getting crossed off the list. So is it on there? Yes, it's on there. But all of these other classroom lighting, you know, that
Right.
type of stuff. So it's still on there, trust me, or something, right? We get, what is it we could do, and maybe then add on to that or whatever.
Yeah.
We have even toyed with not even just in the middle there, because it's not quite as big as we want it to be there for something like that, maybe towards the school even. The closer you get to the school, the less it is because of
Right.
traveling. So looking at all sorts of options, so.
I just didn't want to pave over it and then. second
No,
thought-
no,
Yeah.
no, good point, no.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, so Aaron and his team, they've been working on budgeting, kind of give you a high level of what we're looking at right now. All of the work that I just described to you is just a little over that $2.7 million mark. So that would be alternates included. So that's not only just that base bid work, but those other areas that were shaded in gray at Central, those are included in that cost, just to give you some perspective. We've been working a lot with Connie and sorting through the numbers, and right now what we're seeing is probably somewhere in that range of about $3.5 million. Again, that's kind of a plus or minus, and there's a few things I know that we're working on getting firmed up, but that's a pretty close number to funding that is available via the bond, but also through remaining monies from the 2022, 23, and 24 sinking fund collection. So those two combined are showing that, you know, the funding is there for you to do this work. And then that number doesn't include the winter of 2025 or 26 collection, which, again, they're showing a little bit higher projection than what we even thought back in the pre-bond phase, which is a good thing. So there will be some nice funding available for some of these future projects that we talked about, with ceilings, lights. So Connie, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that. So again, I think it's good news is really what we're sharing, that as these guys have went through and estimated all of this, we're tracking in a good spot. You know, the hope is that we bid these out. We've still got maybe even some funds left over from these monies that we're talking about right now, in addition to some of those future funds from the next 2 years of collection.
and all of this, you know, just a reminder, was that sinking fund renewal that we had, and then, you know, increasing, you know, no more mills for the bond. So that is another, this is all just continuation of support from the community, not overextending. But these things can start happening because we do get that support that, like, you know, Barb mentions that concession stand, it's moving up, right? Because these other areas, now, technology, busing, those things still need to be addressed and can be through bond issues, but those are sinking fund for busing, not the one we did, but, anyway, those things can't be forgotten about But these other areas, once you get classroom lighting done, you know, centrals, that's gonna be done. It's gonna be amazing, that building over there. And once we start doing that, these other things are moving up the list. The things with the ceiling corridors out here, they didn't get done because other things were ahead of that. That's gonna be so, it's finally here this summer that we get to cover these lights up. So we're getting there, slowly but surely.
Well, and speaking of what you said, though, Shelley, that's not on that list, we've taken some of that bond money and put it into a pot that is an involving project for technology, for buses, and for equipment, because those can come out of the bond. And that's the thing that I think sometimes isn't visible on the surface, and that is the balancing act to make all that happen. Like, make sure all of these types of things get done, but still reserve and balance those funds to cover, like you said, you just can't ignore those other things that have to be needed. So it's really great that we get that support from the community, because without that, I mean, we are so blessed in this district to be able to keep it going. We don't want to go back to those days where everything's falling apart, and it's great.
Yeah.
So I guess Aaron's gonna talk a little bit more about what some of the next steps look like here regarding bidding, but are there any questions on general scope items or other additional items? I guess Shelley, Cody, anybody that's been in on those conversations? Okay.
I have a question on the bus thing. Has there been any engineering? You're gonna put 2 buses there and ADA parking, and that's only a one-way road, so that bus is actually gonna have to back up at some point in time.
Yep.
Is there gonna even be any space that can safely happen?
Yes,
Without
yep,
causing
so
an
they can
accident
come
or
in
person?
and they can back into the stall, so we've studied the turning radiuses for them to be able to come in, back into their spots, and then they'll be able to pull straight on forward, so as they
With
arrive.
cars in all
Yep.
of their areas?
There will hardly out there, by the way.
Yeah, along the fence there.
Yeah, that's over on the far east edge of that, so they'll be able to come in on the south edge of that pavement and back in.
They do that even to the point where when they, when we change a door, they have to make sure, a wheelchair can come. I mean, they had it all drawn out. This one wasn't drawn out, but it showed the actual radiuses and yeah, they have a whole engineering team that does just that stuff. So that's why they have to expand it. It's not currently big enough.
Right.
So if you're thinking about what we currently have, you're right, that's not gonna work. So that's why it needs to be expanded, yeah.
I do have one more question. What about the flooring in the cafeteria and or the all-purpose room in the elementary? What is that going to be?
So we were looking at a stretch of that, same
Or is
walk-off
that
carpet.
something in the future, or is that gonna need to be done this next?
So there are areas that this whole walk-off carpet concept, because they come inside for recess
Right.
there. So this was like the very late add-on, that is one of our first areas that we're looking at there, and also the middle recess doors that go out, that flooring there, so I think that was part of it, actually.
Yeah, so the north side of the cafeteria, we're looking at, a strip of that walk-off carpet that would
Yep.
touch those doors that go directly to the outside, and then, corridor just to the
And
east of there.
then the rest of the room would be the current flooring.
Correct.
Well,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
right, I
For
agree.
now.
If we can get rid of it, it's slick, if we can get rid of that, I think it's the same stuff we just covered up in the middle school hallway.
I think it is.
Yeah, and so it was a nice try, but
Yeah.
I hear you on that.
And,
We have
and the
talked-
noise factor in that.
And then there's the noise factor
Yeah.
too, sure, yeah.
Yeah, we've
We even
had,
have-
districts use the kinetics in cafeterias, so.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Sorry. I know it's cleanable, but.
So I'll tell you.
Cody,
when
yeah,
I
right,
first
your
heard
eyes are
about
as
it,
big as
too, I
mine.
did the same thing. I went, tell me about this.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's think about that one.
It was in a high school, I was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so, our plan would be to go out to bid next Thursday, the 30th. We'd have it out to bid through the 20th. Working already, we've contacted Shelley and Cody to try to set up that pre-bid walkthrough for November 6th. RFI deadline would be November 13th. And then schedule a bid opening for November 20th at 11 a.m. Shortly after that, the 21st to the 24th, we do our post-bid interviews, and then we would put all our recommendations together and send them to the board for approval at their December 10th meeting.
That should get us in front of the line for next summer's project.
That
Yes,
should be a
That's
good-
exactly it.
Absolutely. So, are there any questions on that projected timeline?
Will that be one of their questions? You know, for their interview, if like, when can you start, like, with,
A sample schedule is normally provided,
okay,
when we're going out to bid.
okay, good, okay.
But that's a good time to go to bid. I mean, end of this year and winter of next year is when everyone starts to fill up their summer schedule.
Well, that's what we have. I guess any other questions? Appreciate you guys giving us a little time to share where we went so far.
I'm so happy about classroom flooring in elementary.
Yeah, for sure, yes.
All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Yeah, motion by Andrew, second by Jennifer. Any discussion? There is no gifts. Okay, Jennifer? Aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Leonard?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Myself, aye, motion carried.
Sorry. All right, who's first, who's second?
Andy,
Andrew and then
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Bye, Sue.
No action items, announcements and comments. There is not a work session scheduled for November. A meeting of the Board of Education will be held Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in this room. President and superintendent updates. I do not have any.
I just want to publicly state, we did go over to Constantine for the County School Board Association meeting, and it was wonderful.
Oh, the food
It was wonderful. They did a fantastic job.
There was so much food.
The presenter was Jim Harris, who we actually use and have been using here in this building now. We're going on 3 years. ELJ team, you might hear of that, and that is his work. We started utilizing the academic portion from him at Central this year. I have met him, I have never heard him speak, and I went in thinking, oh, we are on the same page, right? I've heard speakers with this message before. I was blown away. He did a presentation on like the digital age and dopamine and what it looks like, and he was referring it to students. Well, I'm not so young anymore, and I'm thinking these are the graduates we are hiring. The new teachers that we are hiring are these young adult kids that he's referring to. And so I really took that information that he was talking about with our, younger elementary, middle school, high school kids, and thought about it as a district leader with that. And it was really enlightening to hear some of the positive parts of it, but then some of the struggles how we answer to it. And sometimes we view them as struggles, and they're really not. It doesn't have to be a struggle. And so it was very interesting, and those of you that were there, the 2 books that he did recommend, I did purchase both of those, so I do have them. You can't have them yet because I haven't finished both of them, but I do have them. And so one was The Anxious Generation, and the other one was something dopamine. It was all about addiction, but it really, when we're on our phones and all of that, we're creating that. And so I do have both of those books if anybody wants to borrow them. And he does have a TED Talk, so if you're interested in that, it's a shorter version of what he put on. It was like a 15-minute version. It was phenomenal. I was not uber excited to go. And it was one of the best nights that I've had in a long time. I learned and it reinforced some belief systems that I had, way that we do things here. And it was really nice to sit with those that were there and share that evening, and it was really good. I'm really glad that they decided to bring him in for us, so. Yeah, yes, because you are,
I'm the vice president.
that's right, so thank you to our very own president, Nicole, for bringing that in. It was great, yes.
And Constantine also had a program, a science program that they also
They did show,
presented, so that was very nice as
it
well.
was nice.
But yes, Jim Harris, go out YouTube, look for him. It's very nice and informative and lots of information he has.
It's very, very useful.
Yes. Anything else?
No.
Okay.